The line. He held Book 1, Iron Mercy by Matthew R. Plummer, assisted by ChatGPT. Copyright C. 2026 by Matthew R. Plummer. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including photocopying, recording, or other electronic or mechanical methods, without the prior written permission of the author, except in the case of brief quotations used in reviews or scholarly works. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either the product of the author's imagination or used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, events or locales, is purely coincidental. First edition printed in the United States of America. Dedicated to Richard and Maureen Plummer, to my father, to God, and to all those who never stopped believing in me, even when I struggled to believe in myself. This book exists because of you. Opening monologue. Victor Hale. Men like to believe the world is unpredictable, that it bends on chance, on luck, on the strength of a single moment. They're wrong. The world is simple. People are simple. You give them something to fear and something to lose, and they will choose exactly as you expect them to every time. A man will stand firm until you place a gun to something he loves. A woman will refuse to yield until you take away every place she has left to go. They call it will. They call it faith. I call it design. Because once you understand what a person values, you don't have to fight them. You don't even have to touch them. You simply remove what they believe cannot be taken. And when it's gone, they unravel. Not all at once, not loudly, but completely. Some break into rage, some into silence. But in the end, they all become the same, predictable. That is how the world is shaped. Not by force, but by knowing exactly where to apply it. There are no exceptions to this rule. Just men who haven't been tested properly yet. Elias Cade is no different. He just doesn't know it. Chapter 1. Control. Men like to believe they made choices. Victor Hale had learned otherwise. He stood at the edge of the rail line as it cut through open land, steel splitting earth in a straight, unyielding line. Men moved along it with purpose, hauling timber, driving spikes, wiping sweat from their brows like their labor meant something. They thought they were building. Hale knew better. They were following. They followed orders, money, fear, whatever pulled hardest. It didn't matter what they told themselves at night. In the end, men didn't choose what they became. They revealed it. Given enough pressure, given the right moment, given something to lose. Hale adjusted his gloves, eyes tracking the movement below without urgency. Rail will reach the valley in a week, one of his men said behind him. Hale nodded once. And the holdouts? Still there, a pause. They won't leave. Hale's gaze didn't shift. They will. The man hesitated. If they don't? Hale turned slightly, just enough for the question to die where it stood. They will. Not force, not threat. Certainty. Because everyone left eventually. Or they were removed. Years earlier, before the rail, before the men who followed him now, Hale had seen it firsthand. A boy stood in the dirt, fists clenched, trying to look like something he wasn't. Thin, angry, alone. Older boys circled him, amused more than threatened. "Walk away," one of them said, "or we'll make you." The boy didn't move, didn't speak, didn't look for help. That was what caught Hale's attention. Not defiance, understanding. The boy already knew no one was coming. The first blow came fast. The boy took it, staggered, then came back swinging, wild, untrained, but without hesitation. He lost. Of course he did. But he didn't break. Even when he hit the ground. Even when he couldn't stand. He still tried to rise. Hale stepped in before it went too far. Enough. The word carried weight, the kind that didn't need to be repeated. The older boys backed off. Not out of respect, out of instinct. Hale looked down at the boy. Blood at his lip, dirt on his face, eyes still burning. "Why didn't you run?" Hale asked. The boy spat blood into the dust. "Because they'd chase me." Hale studied him. "And?" The boy met his gaze. "Then I'd still have to fight." A small pause. Hale nodded once. "Correct." "Then next time," Hale said, "don't fight like you expect to win." The boy frowned slightly. Hale crouched just enough to meet him at eye level. "Fight like you expect them to break first." Something shifted in the boy's expression. Not understanding. Recognition. Hale straightened. "What's your name?" A hesitation. Then, "Elias." Hale held his gaze a moment longer, then nodded. "Good," he said. Not encouragement, not approval. Acknowledgement. Hale turned and walked away. He didn't look back. He didn't need to, because he already knew what the boy would become. Back at the rail line, the wind moved lightly across the steel. Hale watched the horizon, measured it. Men believed in distance, in time, in chance. Hale believed in something simpler. Pressure. Remove the illusion of choice, and men showed you exactly who they were. Always. He glanced once toward the far stretch of land beyond the tracks, empty to anyone else, not to him. "He'll come," Hale said quietly. No one asked who. They already knew, closing line. "Everyone breaks," Hale said. A faint pause, then softer. Or they reveal the line they were never meant to cross. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2. The boy and the fire. The land had been quiet that morning. Not peaceful, just still in the way things get before they change. Elias remembered the light most. The way it stretched across the fields in long, soft lines, catching on the edges of the house, the fence, the woman standing in the doorway. She wasn't his mother, but she was the only thing he had that came close. "Don't go far," she called as he stepped off the porch. "I won't." He meant it. He always meant it. The land wasn't much. A house that leaned slightly to one side, a stretch of stubborn earth that gave just enough to survive, a fence that needed fixing more often than it stood straight. But it was theirs. That was what mattered. Elias worked where he could, did what he was told, stayed out of trouble when it found him. And when it didn't, he kept to himself. He had learned early that the world didn't make space for boys like him. You either took it, or you endured it. She never let him become hard, not fully. "Strength isn't in what you take," she told him once, kneeling in the dirt beside him as they worked the garden. "It's in what you refuse to become." Elias hadn't understood it then. Not completely, but he remembered it. The sound came just past midday. Not thunder, not wind, hooves. Elias looked up first. From where he stood near the fence line, he could see them coming. 3 riders cutting across the land without slowing. Too direct, too certain. He felt it immediately. That shift. Hung. "Stay here," she said from behind him. He hadn't heard her walk up. Didn't know how long she had been watching. "I can—" "No," she said, firm now. Not afraid, certain. Elias turned to her. Something in her face had changed. Not fear. Decision. "Go inside," she said. He didn't move. The riders were closer now. Close enough to see the rifles. Close enough to see they weren't passing through. "I'm not leaving you," Elias said. She stepped in front of him, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, you are." A pause. "Because you're not ready for what this is." Elias's jaw tightened. "I can help." Her grip tightened slightly. "No," she said, "you can't." The riders pulled up hard in front of the house. Dust kicked up around them. Settled slow. One of the men swung down from his horse, well-dressed. Clean, like he didn't belong in a place like this. "You've been told," the man said, not unkindly. She didn't step back. "This land is mine." The man sighed, almost tired. "It won't be." Elias watched from just behind her now, heart beating faster, hands clenched at his sides. "They're building through here," the man continued. "You're in the way." Then go around. A faint smile touched the man's mouth. That's not how this works. Elias took a step forward. Her hand pushed back against his chest without looking. Stay. He stopped. Barely. I'm not leaving, she said. The man studied her, then nodded slightly. All right, and just like that, the moment shifted. The second man raised his rifle. Elias didn't think. He moved. Too late. The shot cracked through the air. She staggered. Just once, like her body hadn't decided yet whether to fall. Then she did. Everything after that happened too fast, and not fast enough. Elias reached her before she hit the ground, caught her, lowered her down. No, no, no. His hands pressed against the wound, trying to stop something that wouldn't stop. Her eyes found his, still clear, still there. Elias, I'm here, he said quickly. I'm right here. Her hand lifted slightly, rested against his arm. You listen to me. He shook his head. No, no, don't. You listen. Something in her voice cut through everything else. He stilled. Don't become them, she said. His vision blurred. They take because they can, she continued, breath uneven now. They break things because it's easier than building them. Elias gripped her tighter. I won't let them. You don't get to choose what they do. A pause. But you choose what you do. Her hand tightened slightly. That's the only thing that matters. Elias shook his head again. You're going to be all right, he said, like saying it made it true. She smiled. Small, fading. No, she said softly. And he knew, even then. He knew. Don't hurt the innocent, she whispered. Her hand slipped from his arm, and she was gone. Elias didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't understand how the world kept going when she didn't. Behind him, the men moved again. Fire caught quick. The house, their house, went up in flames. Elias stayed where he was, in the dirt, holding onto something that wasn't there anymore. The heat grew, the smoke thickened, but he didn't move. Not until a hand grabbed him from behind, pulled him back, hard. He fought it at first, then stopped, because it didn't matter. Nothing did. From a distance, he watched it burn. Everything. Gone. The house, the land, her. Elias stood there long after the flames died down. Long after the men were gone. Long after the world had decided it was finished with him. He didn't cry, not anymore, because something inside him had already changed, not broken, forged. He looked at the ground where she had fallen, at the place where everything he had ended, and something new began. I won't, he said quietly. The words didn't carry, didn't need to. I won't hurt the innocent. A pause, then, I'll stop the ones who do. The line was drawn, and this time it would hold. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. The weight of mercy. The first winter nearly killed him. Not clean, not quick, slow, hunger that didn't leave, cold that settled into bone, nights that stretched too long with nothing but memory to keep him awake. Elias learned fast, because he had to. He learned where to sleep so the wind didn't find him, how to move without wasting strength, how to take what he needed and nothing more. That part mattered, even when no one was watching, even when no one would have known. The line held. He stole once, food from a wagon left too far from its owner. He took just enough. Left the rest. Didn't feel right. Didn't feel wrong, just necessary. Didn't take long for the world to notice him. Boys alone didn't stay invisible. Not in places like that. Some tried to use him, some tried to break him. None of them understood him. Not yet. You're wasting yourself. The voice came from behind him one evening as he worked a blade against a stone, sharpening it more out of habit than need. Elias didn't turn. I'm not doing anything, he said. That's the problem. Elias glanced back. Victor Hale stood a few paces away. Older now. Cleaner. But the same, always the same. Elias went back to the blade. Didn't ask for your help. Hale stepped closer. You didn't have to. A pause. You're still alive. Elias stopped sharpening, looked up at him. And? Hale studied him. Most wouldn't be. That wasn't praise. It wasn't anything. Just an observation. Then most aren't me, Elias said. Something flickered in Hale's eyes. Not surprise, recognition. No, Hale said. They're not. That was how it started. Not mentorship, not guidance, pressure. Hale didn't teach him like a teacher. He put him in situations where he had to learn. Fights he couldn't win clean. Choices that didn't have good outcomes. Moments where hesitation cost something and watched. Always watched. Faster, Hale said once after Elias lost a blade in a disarm. Elias picked it up, blood running from his knuckles. I was fast enough. No, Hale said. You were almost fast enough. That difference mattered. Elias attacked again. Harder, smarter. He learned to read movement, to anticipate before reacting, to end things before they had a chance to begin. But there was one thing Hale couldn't shape. Wouldn't. The line. Leave him. The words came sharp as Elias stepped toward a man on the ground. Beaten. Disarmed. Finished. He'll come back, Hale said. Elias didn't lower the blade. Not like this. A pause. He's done. Hale watched him. Measured. Then nodded once. Your mistake, he said. Elias didn't answer, but he stepped back. Let the man live. That night, Hale spoke again. You hesitate. Elias sat across the fire. No, he said. You choose, Hale corrected. A pause. That will cost you. Elias looked at the flames. Maybe. Another pause. But it's mine. That was the difference between them. Hale shaped outcomes. Elias chose them. The gun came later. Not given. Earned. It sat on the table between them, clean, balanced. Elias didn't reach for it. Not right away. Take it, Hale said. Elias looked at him. Why? Hale's answer came without pause. Because you're ready to use it. Elias picked it up. The weight settled into his hand like it belonged there. Not heavy, certain. What's it called? Elias asked. Hale's gaze didn't shift. It doesn't have a name. Elias turned it slightly, studied it. It does now, he said. Hale didn't ask. Didn't care what name Elias gave it. Because names didn't matter to him. Outcomes did. Elias holstered it, and something in him settled. He left not long after that. No argument, no goodbye. Hale didn't stop him. Because this part couldn't be taught. It had to be lived. The first time Elias used the gun, it wasn't for himself. It never was. A man had cornered a woman behind a stable, drunk, certain. Elias didn't speak, didn't warn, didn't hesitate. The shot echoed once, clean, final. The man dropped. The woman stared at him, shaken. Alive. Elias didn't stay, didn't wait for thanks. He just turned and walked. That was how it spread. Not stories, not at first. Moments. A man who appeared when things went too far. A man who ended it without question. A man who left before anyone could ask who he was. They started calling him something eventually, not because he told them to, because they needed to. Iron Mercy. Iron because he didn't bend. Mercy because he chose when not to kill. Elias never corrected them, never confirmed it. He just kept moving, town to town, line to line, and every time something crossed it, he was there. Not as a man, as a certainty. End of chapter 3. Chapter 4. A name he didn't keep. The town didn't look like much. Most didn't. A single road stretched through it, lined with buildings that leaned just enough to suggest they'd been standing longer than they were meant to. Dust clung to everything. Boots, windows, the air itself. Elias rode in without slowing. Didn't take in the details, didn't need to. Towns were all the same in the ways that mattered. There was always a place to drink, a place to sleep, and a place where things went too far. He found the first one easily. The saloon doors swung open under his hand, letting out a wash of noise and heat. Voices layered over piano keys, laughter that leaned too loud, the low tension of men pretending not to watch each other. Elias stepped inside. The room shifted. Not obvious, but real. A few glances, a pause too long in conversation. The kind of awareness that came from men who had learned to measure threats without naming them. Elias ignored it. He moved to the bar. "Whiskey," he said. The bartender nodded, already reaching for a bottle. "You passing through?" the man asked. Elias didn't answer right away. "Maybe." The glass slid toward him. Elias took it. Didn't drink, not yet. He listened. That was always the first step. A card game in the corner, voices tight, stakes higher than they should have been. A woman laughing too hard at something not funny. A man near the door watching everyone and pretending he wasn't. Nothing out of place, not yet. "You're new." The voice came from his right. Not loud, not hesitant, certain. Elias glanced over. She stood a few feet away, one hand resting lightly against the edge of the bar. Not dressed like the others. Not carrying herself like them either. There was no performance in her posture, no invitation, just presence. "I could say the same," Elias replied. She smiled slightly. "I've been here longer than you." Elias took a sip of the whiskey. "Doesn't make you known?" Her smile didn't fade. "No," she said, "but it makes me observant." A pause. "You don't belong here?" Elias set the glass down. "That obvious?" She tilted her head slightly. "You're watching too much," she said. "People who belong don't do that." Elias almost smiled. "People who survive do." That caught her attention. Not the words, the way he said them. "Survive what?" she asked. Elias met her gaze. "Depends on the day." A small silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable. Measured. "I'm Anna," she said. Elias hesitated. Just for a second. Then, "John." The name came easy, too easy. Anna studied him, not calling it out, but not believing it either. "John," she repeated, like she was trying it on. It didn't fit. Before she could say anything else, a chair slammed back across the room. The card game. Elias's attention shifted instantly. 3 men now standing, one still seated, tension rising. Fast. "You cheated." "I didn't." "You think I'm stupid?" "That's not what I said." Elias exhaled quietly. There it was. "You always find this?" Anna asked, watching him more than the men. "I don't look for it," Elias said. "But you expect it." "Yeah." The first punch landed. Everything broke after that. The table flipped. Cards scattered. Another man reached for a gun. Elias moved. Fast. He crossed the distance before the weapon cleared leather, his hand catching the man's wrist and forcing it down hard. "Don't," Elias said. The word wasn't loud, but it held. The man froze, for a second, long enough. Elias drove him back, disarmed him clean, then stepped away. Didn't escalate, didn't finish it. The rest of the fight collapsed quickly after that. Men pulled apart. Shouting faded. No one dead. That mattered. Elias stepped back toward the bar. Anna was watching him differently now. Not curious, certain. "You could have killed him," she said. Elias picked up his glass again. "Didn't need to." Pause. "He would have," she said. Elias shrugged slightly. "Then I would have stopped him." Anna studied him for a long moment. "That's not how most men think." Elias met her gaze. "I'm not most men." Silence. "Then you're lying about your name." Straight, direct. Elias didn't react, didn't deny it. "Probably," he said. Anna crossed her arms lightly. "Why?" Elias took another sip. Because names got people hurt. Because being known meant being followed. Because anything close to him wasn't safe. Habit, he said instead. Anna didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. Not yet. All right, John, she said, a small pause. But I don't think that's the part you should be worried about. Elias raised an eyebrow slightly. What should I be worried about? Anna held his gaze. That you stayed. That landed. Not heavy, but real. Elias set the glass down. For the first time since he walked in, he didn't feel like leaving. And that, more than anything, was the beginning of the problem. End of Chapter 4, Chapter 5, what he carried in. It happened just outside of town. Elias didn't see them until it was already too late. Two riders broke from the tree line as he followed the outer road, cutting him off before he could turn back. A third came from behind. Not random, not desperate. Placed. Elias slowed his horse slightly, measured the distance, the spacing, the intent. You've been asking questions, one of them called out. Elias didn't answer. Didn't need to. He shifted slightly in the saddle. Ready. The first shot came from the left, too soon. Elias dropped low, the bullet cutting past where his chest had been a second before. His hand moved at the same time, drawing, firing. The man fell. The second shot hit. Elias felt it more than heard it. A sharp impact tearing through his side, stealing breath, throwing him off balance. He stayed in the saddle. Barely returned fire. The second man dropped. The third turned to run. Elias could have chased him, could have ended it. Instead, he let him go. Because something was wrong, not the fight. Him. The pain settled in fast, hot, spreading. Elias pressed a hand to his side, blood, more than he liked. Damn it, he muttered. He urged the horse forward, back toward town. The ride blurred. Edges of buildings came into view. Voices, movement. Too much, too loud. He made it to the edge of town before the world started to tilt. His grip loosened. The ground came up hard. When Elias opened his eyes again, it was quiet. Not the kind of quiet he was used to. Softer. Contained. He blinked once, twice. The ceiling above him wasn't his. The smell wasn't dust and leather. It was cleaner. Faintly herbal. He tried to sit up. Pain stopped him. Don't. The voice came from nearby, firm, familiar. Elias turned his head slightly. Anna sat beside the bed, watching him, not surprised he was awake, like she had been waiting. You should have stayed down, she said. Elias let out a slow breath. Didn't feel like it. Anna shook her head slightly. You were bleeding through your shirt when they brought you in, she said. You're lucky you made it this far. Elias glanced down. Bandages wrapped tight around his side, clean, done right. You did this? He asked. Anna nodded. I've seen worse. A pause. You're not as careful as you think you are. Elias almost smiled. Careful enough? Anna raised an eyebrow. You got shot. Still here. That's not the same thing. Elias shifted slightly. The pain flared. He didn't hide it. Didn't acknowledge it either. You let one of them go, Anna said. Elias looked at her. You saw that? They carried you in, she replied. They talk. A pause. You could have ended it. Elias leaned his head back slightly. Yeah. Anna studied him. Why didn't you? Elias didn't answer right away. Because the truth wasn't simple. Because it never was. He was already running, Elias said. Anna's expression didn't change. That's your line? Elias met her gaze. Part of it. Silence settled between them. Not awkward. Just there. You don't kill unless you have to, Anna said slowly. Elias didn't correct her. And you decide what have to means. A pause. That's a heavy thing to carry. Elias looked at the ceiling again. Someone has to. Anna didn't argue, didn't agree either. That doesn't make you right, she said. That brought his attention back to her. No, Elias said. A small pause. But it makes me responsible. Anna held his gaze for a moment longer, then nodded slightly. Fair enough. She stood, moving toward a small table nearby, adjusting something out of habit more than necessity. You're going to stay here, she said. Elias frowned slightly. Not planning on it. Anna didn't turn. You can barely sit up. I've been worse. I don't care. That made him pause. Anna turned back to him, her expression steady. You don't get to walk out of here half dead just because you're used to it, she said. Elias studied her. Most people didn't speak to him like that. Didn't tell him what he could or couldn't do. You always this stubborn? He asked. Anna's mouth twitched slightly. Only when I'm Richie. Then, Elias let out a quiet breath. Not quite surrender, but close enough. Fine, he said. Anna nodded once, like that had been the expected outcome. Good, she said, then softer. Rest. Elias closed his eyes. Not fully, not completely letting go, but enough, and for the first time in a long time. He didn't feel like he had to keep one hand on his weapon to sleep. That should have bothered him. It didn't. Closing outside, the town moved as it always did, unaware, unchanged. But inside that small room, something had shifted. Not dramatic, not loud, just enough. For a man who never stayed to start wondering what it meant to. End of chapter 5. Chapter 6. The first crack. Elias should have left. He knew that. Every morning he woke in that bed, every moment the pain in his side dulled just enough to let him move again. He knew what came next. He would ride out, find the next town, the next problem. That was how it worked. That was how it all had always worked. But he didn't. You're healing, Anna said, setting a cup down beside him. Elias shifted slightly, testing the movement in his side. Slow, he said. That's what healing looks like. He glanced at her. I don't have time for slow. Anna didn't miss a beat. Then you should have thought about that before getting shot. Elias almost smiled. Almost. He was on his feet now. Not steady, not strong, but standing. That was enough for him. You're going outside, Anna said, watching him move toward the door. Yeah. No, you're not. Elias paused. Looked back at her. Wasn't asking. Anna crossed her arms. I wasn't giving you a choice. They held each other's gaze, not hostile, but not soft either. You think you can stop me? Elias asked. Anna stepped forward, not backing down. I think you're smart enough to listen. That landed. Not as a challenge, as truth. Elias exhaled quietly. Then he sat back down. Anna nodded once, like that was exactly what she expected. You're not used to people telling you no, she said. Elias leaned back slightly. No. Another pause. Probably because most people are wrong. Anna's mouth curved faintly. And you're always right? Elias met her gaze. No. But I live with my decisions. Anna studied him, that part. She believed. Where does that leave everyone else? She asked. Elias didn't answer immediately, because that question didn't have a clean answer. It depends, he said finally. On what? Elias looked past her for a second, then back. On whether they crossed the line. Anna's expression shifted, not confused, curious. And you decide where that line is. Elias didn't deny it. That's dangerous, she said. Elias nodded once. Yeah. Another pause, longer this time. Then why do it? She asked. Elias leaned forward slightly. 'Cause no one else would. 'Cause he had seen what happened when no one did. 'Cause of a woman in the dirt and a house in flames. Because someone has to stop it, he said. Anna held his gaze. And who stops you? That one stayed in the air, unanswered, 'cause it didn't have one. Elias leaned back again. Hasn't come up yet. Anna didn't smile, didn't let it pass. That's not something to be proud of, she said. Elias's eyes narrowed slightly. Didn't say it was. They sat in silence for a moment. Not broken. Building. You don't get to decide everything, Anna said finally. Elias looked at her. I don't try to. That's exactly what you're doing. That hit, because it wasn't entirely wrong. Elias shook his head slightly. I stopped things that shouldn't happen. And who decided they shouldn't? She pressed. Elias's voice stayed steady. I did. There it was. Simple. Honest. Anna let out a slow breath. That's what scares me about you. Elias didn't look away. Good. That surprised her. Just a little. It should, he added. Anna stepped closer, not backing down. Maybe, she said. A pause. But it's not the only thing. Elias studied her. What else? Anna held his gaze. You care more than you pretend to. That landed harder than anything else she'd said, because it wasn't an accusation. It was a truth he didn't offer. Elias looked away first, just for a second. You don't know me, he said. Anna didn't move. No, she said, but I'm starting to. Silence again, but different now, closer. Elias stood slowly. This time, Anna didn't stop him. He walked to the door, paused, hand resting lightly against the frame. You shouldn't, he said. Anna tilted her head slightly. Shouldn't what? Elias didn't turn. Get close. A quiet moment. Too late, Anna said. Elias closed his eyes briefly. Not frustration, not regret. Something else. Then he stepped outside. The air hit different, sharper, clearer. But something followed him out there. Something he hadn't carried before. He stayed near the building, didn't go far, didn't need to. Because for the first time, distance didn't feel like safety. Closing inside, Anna watched the door for a moment after he left, then turned back to her work, calm, certain. She didn't need him to stay, but she knew. He would. End of Chapter 6, Chapter 7. The quiet between. The town settled early that night. The noise faded in pieces. Boots on wood, voices thinning out, the distant echo of laughter that didn't last. What remained was softer. Lantern light in windows, the low hum of a place finally at rest. Elias sat just outside the building, back against the wall, hat tipped low. He wasn't watching anything. Not really. For once, nothing needed watching that should have unsettled him. It didn't. The door opened quietly behind him. He didn't turn. Didn't need to. You're supposed to be resting. Anna's voice carried that same steady certainty. Elias shifted slightly. I am. Anna stepped out, closing the door behind her. That's not what that looks like. Elias glanced over. Looks close enough. She didn't argue. Just moved to sit beside him. Close, but not touching. For a while, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The silence wasn't empty. It held. You always this quiet? Anna asked eventually. Elias let out a small breath. When there's nothing to say. Anna glanced at him. There's always something. Elias tilted his head slightly. Then you start. Anna considered that. Then, what were you before this? Elias didn't answer right away. Because the question reached further back than most people ever tried to go. Nothing, he said. Anna frowned slightly. That's not true. Elias's gaze stayed forward. It is. A pause. You weren't born like this, she said. That almost made him smile. Almost. No, he admitted. Anna waited, gave him space. Elias exhaled slowly. There was someone, he said. A beat. She raised me. Anna's expression softened slightly. What happened? Elias's jaw tightened just enough. They took it, he said. Anna didn't ask who, didn't need to. And you decided to stop that from happening again. Elias nodded once. That's not a small decision, she said. No, Elias replied. Another quiet moment passed between them. What would it look like, Anna said slowly, if you didn't have to carry that anymore? Elias glanced at her, really looked at her. It doesn't work like that. Why not? Because it doesn't stop, he said. A pause. People don't stop. Anna held his gaze. Maybe not, she said. But that doesn't mean you don't get to. That landed deeper than it should have. Because it wasn't naive, it wasn't blind, it was possible. Elias looked away first, out into the quiet street. I wouldn't know what to do with that, he admitted. Anna smiled faintly. Yeah, she said. I figured. Another silence. Closer now. Can I ask you something? Anna said. Elias nodded slightly. That gun, she said. The one you carry. Elias's hand rested lightly near it. Not protective, habit. What about it? You treat it like it matters. Elias considered that. It does. Why? He looked down at it briefly. It was my father's. Anna didn't react right away. Let the weight of that settle. And you carry it for him? Elias shook his head slightly. No. Pause. I carry it because of what it means. Anna tilted her head. And what's that? Elias met her eyes again. A choice. Silence followed. But this time, it wasn't just quiet. It was understanding. Anna shifted slightly, closer. Not enough to force it. Enough to mean something. You're not what I expected, she said softly. Elias raised an eyebrow faintly. What did you expect? Anna smiled just a little. Something simpler. Elias let out a quiet breath. You're disappointed. Anna shook her head. No, a pause. Just wrong. That sat between them. Warm. Elias turned slightly toward her now. Not guarded, not distant, present. You should still keep your distance, he said. Anna didn't move back, didn't look away. Why? Elias held her gaze. Because I don't stay. Anna's expression didn't change. Maybe not, she said. But you haven't left. That was the truth of it. Simple. Unavoidable. Elias didn't answer, because there wasn't a good one. Anna's hand shifted slightly, rested lightly against his, not sudden, not hesitant, intentional. Elias stilled, not pulling away, not leaning in, just feeling it. Something unfamiliar, something he hadn't allowed in a long time, something dangerous. He turned his hand slightly, just enough to hold hers back. Neither of them spoke because nothing needed to be said, closing. The night moved on around them, unaware, unchanged. But something had shifted, quietly, irreversibly. For the first time in years, Elias wasn't just holding the line. He was standing on something more, and he didn't know yet how much it would cost him. End of Chapter 7, Chapter 8. The life he almost had days past. Not in the way Elias was used to, not measured by distance or danger or the next place to go, measured by smaller things. Light through the window in the morning. The sound of Anna moving in the next room. The way the town settled into rhythm he didn't have to fight. It was steady, and that unsettled him more than anything else. You're staring again. Elias blinked slightly, pulling his gaze back. Anna stood near the table, sleeves rolled, hands busy with something he hadn't been paying attention to. Wasn't, he said. She smiled without looking up. You were. Elias shifted in his chair, thinking. That's worse. That almost got a smile out of him. Almost. He was moving easier now. The wound still pulled if he pushed too hard, but he didn't. Not because he couldn't, because she'd notice. You're getting used to it, Anna said. Elias frowned slightly. To what? This, she said, gesturing lightly around the room. The quiet, the stillness, something like a life. Elias leaned back slightly. Temporary. Anna nodded. Everything is. That wasn't the answer he expected. Elias studied her. You don't think this lasts? Anna met his gaze. I think nothing does, she said, a pause. But that doesn't make it less real while it's here. That stayed with him, longer than it should have. They started falling into something like routine. Not planned, not spoken, it just happened. He fixed things that didn't need fixing. Fence posts, loose boards, the kind of work that gave his hands something to do and his mind didn't know where to go. She let him. Didn't thank him every time. Didn't make it something bigger than it was. Which made it mean more. Sometimes they didn't talk at all. Just existed in the same space. Comfortable, easy. That was new. One evening the sky stretched wide and clear above them, the sun dropping slow across the horizon, painting everything in gold and shadow. They sat on the porch, close, not touching. You ever think about it? Anna asked. Elias glanced over. Think about what? She looked out across the land. Staying, she said. The word hung there, simple, heavy. Elias didn't answer right away. Because he had, more than once, more than he should have. It's not that simple, he said. Anna nodded. I didn't say it was. A pause. What would it look like? She asked. Elias let out a quiet breath. He wasn't used to imagining things that didn't involve survival, but now, it came easier than he expected. A place like this, he said slowly. Quiet. Anna glanced at him. That's a start. Elias looked out ahead. Work that doesn't end in someone bleeding. Anna smiled faintly. I'd like that. Another pause. A family, Elias said. The word came quieter, less certain. Anna didn't interrupt. A boy, he added after a moment. She turned to him then. He looked at him. Why a boy? Elias's jaw shifted slightly. So he knows what he carries. Anna frowned just a little. Or so he has to. That caught him. Elias looked at her. I'd teach him right. Anna held his gaze. You think that's enough? Elias didn't answer right away, because he wasn't sure. It would be better than nothing, he said. Anna softened slightly, not agreeing, understanding. He wouldn't be you, she said gently. Elias looked away. I wouldn't want him to be. That was the truth, the kind he didn't say often. Anna's hand found his then. Not sudden. Familiar now. You don't have to pass it on, she said. Elias's hand tightened slightly around hers. Maybe not, he said. But something in his voice said he didn't believe that completely. And Anna heard it. But she didn't push, not tonight. They sat there as the light faded, holding onto something that felt, for the first time, like it could last, closing. In the distance, beyond the edge of town, a rider passed along the far ridge, too far to see clearly, too still to be random, watching. The moment didn't break, they didn't see him, but he saw them. And he understood, before Elias ever would, what had been built there, and what it would take to destroy it. End of chapter 8, chapter 9. The name that followed him. It didn't come all at once. Truth rarely did. It built in pieces. Small things that didn't quite fit until they did. Anna heard it first. Not from him. From others. She stood near the back of the general store, sorting through supplies, only half listening to the men talking near the front. I'm telling you, it's him. You didn't see him. I didn't have to. Description matches. A pause. They call him Iron Mercy. The name settled wrong, not because of what it was, because of how it was said. What's that supposed to mean? Another man asked. The first let out a quiet breath. Means if you cross a line, you don't get a second chance. A small silence followed. But if you don't, he added, he won't touch you. Anna's hand slowed. They say he's been through half the territory, the man continued. Shows up where things go bad, leaves before anyone can thank him. Anna didn't turn, didn't interrupt, but something in her already started putting the pieces together. You ever see him? The other man asked. No, the first said, but I've seen what he leaves behind. That stayed with her. Long after the conversation ended, Elias noticed it that night. Not right away, but enough. She was quieter, watching him more than usual. What? He asked finally. Anna didn't answer immediately, just studied him. You ever hear the name Iron Mercy? She said. Elias didn't move, didn't react, but something in him stilled. Why? He asked. Anna held his gaze. Because I have. A pause. They say he shows up when things go bad, she continued. Ends it. Elias looked away, just slightly. They say he decides who deserves to walk away. Silence stretched between them. And they say, Anna added, quieter now, he doesn't stay anywhere long. That was the part that mattered. Elias let out a slow breath. You believe everything you hear? He asked. Anna shook her head. No. A pause. But I believe patterns. Elias met her eyes again. And you think I'm him? Anna didn't soften it. I think you could be. Another silence. He could lie, he had before. Easier that way. Safer. But something about her, something about this made that feel wrong. Elias looked down briefly. At his hands, at the space between them. Then back at her. I don't go looking for trouble, he said. Anna didn't move, didn't interrupt. But I don't walk away from it either. That wasn't a denial. Anna took a small breath. You've killed people. Elias held her gaze. Yes. The word didn't come easy, but it came clean. Anna nodded slowly, taking it in, not shocked, not afraid. And you decide who deserves it. Elias's jaw tightened slightly. I decide when it has to happen. Anna stepped closer, not backing away. That's not the same thing. Elias didn't argue because it wasn't. Silence settled again, but this time, it wasn't comfortable, it was real. You lied about your name, she said. Elias exhaled quietly. Yes. Is it even John? A small pause. No. Anna nodded once. Then what is it? Elias hesitated, just long enough to matter. Elias. The name landed between them. Not heavy, but honest. Anna repeated it softly. Elias. Like she was deciding what it meant. Another silence. You should have told me, she said. Elias didn't disagree. I was going to leave, he said. Anna's eyes sharpened slightly. And that made it better? No, Elias admitted. Then why didn't you? That question stayed longer than the others, because it mattered more. Elias looked at her, really looked at her. You know why, he said. Anna didn't look away. Say it. Elias hesitated. Then, I didn't want to. That was the truth. Simple. Unprotected. Anna's expression shifted. Not softer, not harder, real. That doesn't change what you are, she said. Elias nodded once. I know. Another pause. But it changes what this is, she added. That landed. Because it did. Elias didn't try to fix it, didn't try to explain it away. Then tell me what it is, he said. Anna held his gaze. Long. It's something that can't stay like this, she said. Silence followed, because they both knew. She wasn't wrong. Closing outside, the town moved like nothing had changed. But inside that room, everything had. Not broken, but no longer simple. And somewhere beyond it, watching from a distance, the man who had been waiting finally saw what he needed. Something worth taking. End of chapter 9. Chapter 10. The choice. The town didn't change, but Elias saw it differently now. That was the problem. Before it had been temporary, a place to pass through, a place not worth remembering. Now it had weight, and weight meant risk. Elias stood at the edge of town, watching the road stretch out into open land, the same road he had taken in, the same one he should have already left by. You're thinking about it again. Anna's voice came from behind him. He didn't turn. Yeah. She stepped beside him, close, not touching. You don't have to go. she said. Elias shook his head slightly. Yes, I do. Anna studied him. Because of them. Not a question. Elias nodded once. They won't stop, he said. Anna's gaze followed his out toward the horizon. No, said. A pause. They won't. Silence settled between them. I could stay, Elias said. The words felt strange, like something he wasn't supposed to say out loud. Anna didn't look at him. Could you? That answer came slower. No, because staying didn't stop anything. It just delayed it. And if you don't go, Anna said quietly, they'll come here. Elias didn't respond, because that was the truth he'd been avoiding. They'll come for you, she continued, and they'll find me. That landed. Hard. Elias turned to her then. I won't let that happen. Anna met his gaze. You don't get to decide that. The words echoed something she had said before. Elias's jaw tightened slightly. I can try. Anna stepped closer. Now they were standing face to face. Trying isn't enough, she said. Silence. Then what is? Elias asked. Anna didn't hesitate. Ending it. The word hung between them. Clear. Final. Elias held her gaze. That's not something I walk away from clean. Anna shook her head slightly. I'm not asking you to. A pause. I'm asking you to finish it. That was different. Elias looked past her for a second. At the town. At the place that had started to feel like something more. If I go, he said, it doesn't stop with them. Anna didn't look away. I know. And if I don't come back, you will. Elias's expression hardened slightly. You don't know that. Anna stepped even closer. Close enough that there was no space left between them. I know you, she said. That stopped him. Not because it was certain, because part of him wanted it to be. And I know what happens if you don't go, she added. Elias exhaled slowly. They don't stop, he said. Anna nodded. No. Silence, then. Elias reached for her, not hesitantly, not uncertainly. He pulled her close. Anna didn't resist, didn't hesitate. For a moment, everything else fell away. The road, the danger, the choice. There was just this. I'll come back, Elias said quietly. Anna didn't answer right away. She pulled back just enough to look at him. You better, she said. It wasn't soft, it was a promise. Elias nodded once, then he turned, and this time, he walked away. Anna stood there long after he was gone, watching the road, not moving. She didn't cry, didn't break, because she had made the choice, too. And she knew exactly what it meant, closing. Hell watching, far from the town, high along the ridge where the land opened wide, a man sat mounted, still as the horizon. Victor Hale watched the road, watched the dust trail left behind by a single rider. He had been waiting, not for Elias to appear, for him to leave. Hale's gaze shifted past the road, toward the town behind it, toward what had been left unguarded. A faint smile touched his expression. Not satisfaction, understanding. He chose, Hale said quietly. And now, so would he. End of chapter 10, chapter 11. The trap. Elias found them faster than he expected. That should have been the first sign. Men like that didn't leave trails unless they wanted to be followed. But Elias wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about ending it. The first camp sat just beyond a dry ridge, tucked low where the land dipped enough to hide firelight from a distance. Too visible once you knew where to look. Too careless. Elias watched from above. 3 men, relaxed, unaware, wrong. He moved anyway, fast, decisive. The first man dropped them before he could stand. The second reached for his weapon, too slow. The third turned to run. Elias let him take 2 steps, then ended it. Silence fell hard. Elias stood there for a moment, breathing steady, heart controlled, Too easy, he searched them. Nothing useful, no markings, no orders, just men. That didn't sit right. Elias moved on. The second group was further out, closer to the rail line. More men this time, better armed. This felt closer to what he expected. The fight lasted longer, gunfire echoing across open ground. Elias moved through it clean, controlled, ending it piece by piece. When it was over, 4 more were down. 1 left. The man crawled back, bleeding, desperate, eyes wide with something close to panic. Elias stepped toward him, measured. "Where is he?" Elias asked. The man shook his head. Don't. Elias lowered the gun slightly. Not mercy. Focus. "Where is Hale?" The man let out a broken laugh. "You don't get it," he said. Elias's expression didn't change. "Then explain it." The man coughed, blood catching at the corner of his mouth. "He's not here." Elias's grip tightened. "Then where?" The man smiled. "Not wide, not strong, but enough." "Somewhere you're not." The words landed. Hard. Elias stilled. The man's voice dropped, barely there now. "He said you'd come," he whispered. A breath. "Said you'd chase it." Another. While he took what mattered, everything in Elias went cold. Anna, the house, the life he had left behind. No. Elias turned, already moving before the thought finished. The man behind him let out one last broken breath. But Elias didn't hear it, didn't stop, didn't think. The ride back was faster, reckless. The kind of speed that didn't leave room for mistakes, only consequences. The land blurred past him, but his mind didn't. It dragged. Back. Flashes, fire, smoke, a body in the dirt. Again. Elias pushed harder. The horse strained beneath him, but he didn't slow. He couldn't. Because now, he understood. This wasn't a fight. It was a choice he had already made. And Hale had just answered it. Chosen Hale's design, the town came into view just as the sun began to drop. Too quiet, too still. Elias didn't slow, didn't prepare, because something in him already knew. He was too late. End of chapter 11, chapter 12. The distance between, the horse couldn't keep up with him. Elias drove it harder anyway. Breath burned in his chest. Wind tore past his face. The ground blurred into something shapeless beneath him. None of it mattered, only the distance, too much of it. He should have seen it. That thought came first, not fear, not panic. Failure, too easy, too clean, too convenient. He knew better, he had always known better. And still, he went. Elias tightened his grip on the reins, pushed faster. The sky had started to shift, light stretching thin as the sun dropped lower. Shadows grew longer across the land, pulling everything into sharper contrast. Too late. The thought pressed harder now, relentless. He had left her. Not by force, not by chance, by choice. The memory hit without warning. Anna standing in the doorway, watching him ride away, not stopping him, trusting him. "You'll come back." Elias swallowed hard, his jaw tightened. "I will." The lie hadn't felt like one when he said it. Now it tasted different. The land shifted around him. Familiar ground coming back into view. Every turn in the road, something he recognized. Every second stretching too far. Another memory broke through. Not Anna, before. Smoke, the crack of a rifle, a body falling. "Don't become them." Elias shut his eyes for half a second. Too long. The horse stumbled slightly beneath him. He corrected, kept moving. "I won't," he muttered under his breath. But the words didn't hold the same weight now. Because this wasn't about becoming them. This was about failing to stop them. And that was worse. The horizon broke. The town coming into view. Elias leaned forward in the saddle, eyes scanning, searching. Something was wrong. No movement, no sound. The kind of stillness that didn't belong. His chest tightened. No. The word barely made it out. He pushed harder. The horse responded, but not fast enough. Never fast enough. The outskirts passed in a blur. Buildings silent. Doors closed, windows dark. Too quiet. Elias didn't slow as he reached the edge of the street. Didn't dismount clean. He hit the ground, already moving. His steps felt wrong. Heavy. Like something was holding him back. But nothing was. That was the worst part. The door to her place hung slightly open, just enough. Elias stopped. For the first time, he stopped, because something inside him already knew. The air felt different. Still, he took one step forward, then another, each one slower than the last. Not because he couldn't move, because he didn't want to see it. His hand touched the door, pushed it open. The hinges creaked softly, too soft. Elias stepped inside, and everything in him dropped. End of chapter 12. Chapter 13. What was taken. The door gave way with barely a sound. Elias stepped inside and the world stopped. Not all at once, in pieces. The table was overturned. A chair broken against the far wall. Glass scattered across the floor, catching what little light remained. Too familiar, too close. Elias didn't breathe, didn't move, because he had seen this before, just not here. Anna. The name came out rough. Not loud, like speaking it too strongly might make it real. No answer. He stepped forward. Slow, careful. Like the floor itself might give way beneath him. Then he saw the blood, not much, but enough. Trail. Leading deeper inside. Elias followed it, because there was nothing else to do. Each step heavier than the last. Each breath harder to take. The backroom door stood open. He stopped there, just for a second, because once he looked, there was no going back. Then he stepped through. Anna lay near the window. Still, too still. Elias crossed the distance in 2 steps, dropped to his knees beside her. Anna, his hands hovered for a second, like he didn't know where to touch her without breaking something further. Then, they found her. Careful, gentle. Her skin was cold. Not gone, but close. Her eyes opened slightly at his touch. Elias. Relief hit him so hard it almost broke him. I'm here, he said quickly, voice tight. I'm here. Her hand shifted weakly, finding his sleeve. You came back. I told you I would, he said. But the words didn't sound the same now. Her breath caught, uneven. He knew, she whispered. Elias's jaw tightened. Hail, he said. Anna nodded faintly. He said you'd go, she murmured. A pause. Said you'd choose it. Elias closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. I'm going to fix this, he said. You're going to be all right. Anna's hand tightened slightly, weak, but certain. No, she said softly. The word cut deeper than anything else. Elias shook his head. No, don't. Listen to me. Her voice was barely there, but it held him still, just like before. You can't save everyone, she said. His vision blurred. I can try. That's not the same. Elias gripped her hand tighter. I should have stayed, he said. The words broke out of him. I should have. His fingers pressed weakly against his and stopping him. You did what you thought was right. That got you killed, he said, voice cracking. A faint breath of a smile touched her lips. Oh, she whispered. A pause. This did. Elias shook his head again. Desperate now. I can't lose you, he said. And that was the truth he hadn't said out loud until it was already too late. Anna's gaze softened. You already knew you would, she said. Silence, because she wasn't wrong. Elias lowered his head slightly, pressing his forehead gently against hers. I was going to stay, he said quietly. Anna's breath caught. I know. I meant it. I know. A tear slipped free before he could stop it. I wanted that, he said. Anna's hand moved weakly against his. I did too. The words barely held together. Another breath, shallow, fading. You would have been a good father, she whispered. Elias's chest tightened. We could have. He couldn't finish it. Anna's eyes stayed on his. "In another life," she said softly. The words settled like something final, something already gone. Her hand slipped slightly in his. "Elias." He leaned closer. "I'm here." Her voice dropped to almost nothing. "Don't lose yourself." The last piece of her strength, given to him. Then she was gone. Elias didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't understand how the world could exist without her in it. His hand still held hers, but there was nothing holding back, nothing left to save. The room was silent, empty. Elias sat there, long after the light faded, long after the world moved on, because this time, there was no one left to pull him out of it. Closing line. The line he held had cost him everything. End of chapter 13. Chapter 14, The Hunt. He buried her at sunrise, not in the town, somewhere quieter. A stretch of land just beyond where the grass grew a little softer, where the wind moved without catching on walls or corners. She would have liked it. Elias didn't say anything while he worked. Didn't pray, didn't speak her name. Because words didn't mean anything now, not enough. The dirt settled slowly, final. Elias stood there for a long time after it was done. Hat in his hands, head bowed slightly. Not asking for anything, not expecting anything. Just staying. Eventually, he turned. And whatever had been holding him together didn't break. It hardened. He moved differently now. Not faster, not louder, quieter. Everything unnecessary stripped away. There was no hesitation anymore. No question. Only direction. Victor Hale. The first man he found didn't last long. A scout, watching the outer road. Elias didn't announce himself. Didn't give him a chance to reach for anything. It ended before the man understood what was happening. Elias caught him before he hit the ground. Lowered him. Controlled. Even now, the line held. "Where is he?" Elias asked. The man gasped, fear already there. "I don't..." Elias pressed just enough. "You do." A pause, then, "He's moving north," the man choked out. "Old rail line. He said you'd come." "Of course he did." Elias released him. "Step back." The man stayed where he was. Alive, still the line. Elias rode through the next camp without stopping. Gunfire broke out. But it was already too late. They weren't ready for him. Couldn't be. Because this wasn't a fight anymore. It was an ending. Word spread ahead of him. Not his name, not Iron Mercy. Something else. Something quieter. He's coming. And that was enough. Men started leaving, running. Elias didn't chase them. They weren't the point. They never had been. By nightfall, he reached the rail line. Abandoned, half-built, stretching out across the land like something that had started but never finished. Fitting. Elias dismounted. Let the reins fall. He didn't need the horse anymore. The air was still. Too still. Elias walked forward. One step, then another. No rush. No hesitation. Because he knew Hale would be here. He always was. A voice carried through the quiet. I wondered how long it would take. Elias stopped. Didn't turn. Didn't need to. I thought you might stay. Victor Hale continued, stepping into view, older, unchanged. But I knew you wouldn't. Elias faced him. You knew I'd come. Hale smiled faintly. I knew you'd choose. Silence settled between them. You took her, Elias said. Not a question. Hale tilted his head slightly. You left her. The words landed. Sharp. Elias's expression didn't change. You knew what I'd do. Hale nodded. Yes. A pause. Because I know you. That was the truth Elias hated most. Hale gestured lightly to the empty rail line around them. This, he said, was never about the men. Elias already knew that. It was about you, Hale continued. Another step closer. About proving something.
Elias's voice stayed steady. You didn't prove anything. Hale smiled. A pause. I showed you, he said quietly, that your line doesn't protect anything. Silence.
Elias felt it, the weight of it, the truth in it, and still, he didn't move. Say it, Hale said. Elias's gaze didn't waver. You think I failed? Hale's expression sharpened slightly. I know you did. A long pause, then Elias took a step forward. No, he said. Something shifted. Not in the air, in him. I chose, Elias continued. Hale's eyes narrowed slightly. And I'll live with it. Another step. But you don't get to decide what it meant. Silence stretched. For the first time, Hale didn't speak immediately because something in that wasn't what he expected. Elias stopped a few paces away. You think breaking me proves something? He said. A beat. But I'm still here. Hale's smile faded just slightly, and for the first time, the outcome wasn't certain. Closing the wind moved lightly across the unfinished rails. A quiet sound, almost like something waiting. Two men stood facing each other, not as they were, as everything that had led them here. And this time, there would be no one left to stop it. End of chapter 14. Chapter 15, The Reckoning. The wind moved first. A slow pull across the open land, whispering through the unfinished rails like something unfinished itself. Elias and Hale stood facing each other. No one else. No noise, no distraction. Just the distance between them. You still think this ends with you walking away? Hale said. Elias didn't answer. Because this wasn't about walking away. Never had been. Hale studied him. Long. Measuring. You've changed, he said. Elias's voice came steady. No, a pause. I stopped pretending I hadn't. That almost made but Hale smile. Good, he said, another step forward. Then you understand. Elias's eyes didn't leave him. I understand you think breaking something proves control. Hale's expression sharpened. It proves inevitability. Silence. Elias shook his head once. No, he said. That single word landed heavier than anything else. Hale's eyes narrowed. No, he repeated. Elias took one step closer. You didn't take anything from me, he said. That was a lie. They both knew it. But it didn't sound like one. You showed me what I already knew, Elias continued. A pause. That I can't save everyone. The truth settled between them. Hale watched him carefully now. And yet, Hale said, you still try. Elias nodded once. Yeah, a beat. Not for them. Another step. For me. That was something Hale hadn't accounted for. The space between them closed. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Inevitable. You're still holding on to something, Hale said quietly. Elias stopped. Yeah, he said. A long pause. My line. Hale's gaze flicked briefly to Elias's hand, the gun still holstered. You think that matters, Hale said. Elias met his eyes. It's the only thing that does. Silence. Then Hale moved. Fast. The draw was clean, perfect, but Elias was already there. Mercy's end cleared leather in one smooth motion, one shot. The sound cracked through the open land. Hale stopped, just for a second, like his body hadn't caught up to what had already happened. Then, he fell. The dust settled slowly around him. Elias stood still, gun lowered, breathing even. No triumph, no release, just quiet. He stepped forward, looked down at Hale. For a moment, nothing. Then, was it worth it? Hale asked, voice barely holding. Elias didn't hesitate. No. Hale let out something that might have been a laugh or a breath. Still, he managed, inevitable. Elias shook his head. No. A pause. Chosen. Hale's eyes held his for one last second. Then, they didn't. The wind moved again. Elias stood there for a long time. Not because he didn't know what came next, but because for the first time, there wasn't anything waiting for him. No road pulling him forward, no fight left to finish, just silence. He holstered the gun slowly, looked out across the unfinished rail line, something that had been started but never meant to be completed. Like everything else, Elias turned, not back toward the town, not toward anything he had lost, just forward, wherever that was, final line. Some men believe the world is shaped by control, that everything bends toward an inevitable end. But Elias had learned something different. The line he held was never about what he could save. It was about what he refused to become. And in the end, that was the only thing no one could take from him. Epilogue, ending. The world hadn't changed. Men still took, still lied, still chose the easier path when it cost them nothing. But not all of them. Elias Cade walked on, no longer a myth, no longer a warning. Just a man who had held a line long enough for someone else to see it. And somewhere in the quiet that remained, a choice would be made. Not out of fear, not out of loss, but because it was right. And for the first time, the world did not move exactly as it was expected to. End of Book 1, Iron Mercy.